And it's Thursday morning. That means Jasmine Bank is in the building. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I am good.
I feel like my hair looks like yours today.
Yeah, and you got like the lashes and you are looking amazing. You look autumn next to Christmas.
What was that? That was the other day that you told me the same thing. What was I wearing?
Last
last
yes,
Thursday.
you look New York.
Call me Miss New York now. Karibu sana full circle.
Thank you.
We're having a very important conversation today because we've all found ourselves in relationships. Sometimes we've said a bit too much. Sometimes we get into relationships where the guy, I don't know why it just feels like the women, it's us who talk.
Yes.
So we're looking at the good, the bad, the ugly of that, the things that we should do and not do. Where do we draw the line of sharing and who do we share to?
Okay, beautiful question. And I'm excited about this conversation because I think anyone listening today will be able to actually understand and walk away with how they can actually input, how they can change their relationship, no matter what stage it could be at. As long as it's a healthy one, which is, you know, I always feel the need to define because I feel that some people who feel, do I apply everything if it's, you know, physically abusive? So obviously there are different levels.
Yes.
But when you start off by thinking about, do I share everything? Who do I talk to? So in the beginning, there's the natural need to share because it's new love. Yes. You almost feel like, you know, I want to kind of show off and share and let everyone know this is the relationship I'm in. And it's extreme love. I found the one. Even though you might have experienced that a year ago as well. So, you know, it's still, this is the one. Because when you're sharing it with someone and they're giving you the look, you're almost convincing them that this time, I promise, when I'm talking to you, this is the one. Like, I know it. Someone needs to put my Kali's face. But here's the thing. In the beginning, there'll be the natural tendency to share. And sharing part of your love is beautiful, I think. If it's sharing to be able to help somebody else, to help someone feel and think about, okay, this is where I am in my relationship. I love your sharing this. Maybe I could incorporate it. I could take this. Or I love seeing how beautiful and fresh your love is right now. That's something I could reignite in my relationship. Because you've got to be careful sometimes with the people you share with. Are they the people that wish you well? Are they the people that will question it in the right way? Or are the people that you're sharing with in the back of their minds hoping this will fail and hoping it will come down? So in the beginning, yes, you'll tend to share a little bit, but there has to be a level of privacy you hold. And I feel today, with social media, with the amount of people you can talk to, I mean, you look at just celebrities' lives and you look at influencers' lives. You know about their relationships and how they broke up. And I think the most inside bits that probably no one should know about, but one person speaks about it and you feel the human nature to counteract and prove that wasn't me, I'm better than you're portraying me to be. And it's sad. Because even though you're not an influencer and you're not a celebrity, you're doing that with your family, you're doing that with your inner circle. And a lot of the times women do share and talk about things. But when things go wrong, some women have the tendency to go and spoil the work environment for the man or the group of friends he's with, or do the whole, I'm calling your mother to let her know everything that was wrong. And I feel there's a level that you have to stop at. And now, there's the difference with I'm showing on social media everything that's perfect. And if you are the people that are scrolling through people's posts and you think their lives are perfect and their relationship looks perfect and their marriage looks perfect, I promise you, sometimes you have no idea when the last tear was or the last fight was or the last disagreement. Everyone has them. It's human nature to do so. So this over need to compensate what I see on social media by sharing, to validate, to want to get there, that's when it goes wrong. Because now you start talking about things with the wrong people. So let's say some of the things you should be keeping quiet about. The bedroom.
Notes, please. Pen and paper.
The bedroom. Because a lot of women share this side. They have the tendency to giggle about certain things and overshare certain places. But I feel that's the most intimate part of the two of you. It's already taken work to get the two of you where you are. You could be going through a hard time in the bedroom because it's very real for so many couples. The thing with sharing with outsiders or even your close circle means they are solving the problem for you or making you feel better in a way that your partner will not get a chance to do so. Your partner doesn't get a chance to respond to how you're feeling about a situation. So if you're feeling a certain way about things that are going on in the bedroom, or it could be something as personal as you're dealing with infertility, and no one knows, you know, you're seeing all baby pictures, you're seeing so much, and it brings you down. The minute you take that emotion, and this is the beautiful thing about women, they'll group together and they'll talk about it. But I've also personally seen the difference when you take that problem and you go discuss it as a couple. And I'll tell you why it's beautiful. When you marry a man, women have this inert need to make them their hairy girlfriends immediately. So you take them for who they are for the first couple of months, and then women decide that they need to coach men and change men into being a certain way. How do you respond to me? How do you pick up my feelings? You should be doing things a certain way for me. Forgetting a lot of the times, men are men. They're masculine. They're logical. They live in the left side, the left hemisphere of their brain. Women tend to live in the emotional side of the brain. When you start to understand responses and why your man is the way he is, you don't have this need to change him. But when you start bringing the problems you are dealing with to him, a man's way is, how do I make this better for her? A lot of the times they might solve it in a way you don't like, but the secret is you're starting to communicate. This is different, and I've seen to so many people that will take, you know, the marriage problems, infertility, hygiene problems, anything you're going through in the relationship, the fights that you have, you know, internal family dynamics, and you're talking about it and you're sharing it with everyone else. You're empty. There's no need to sit down and share it with this person. You get the wrong response from the person you're sharing it to, and they turn around and say, really? You tolerated that? You let him push you that way? He didn't respond? He walked out the room? It is justifying.
We are so good at that.
Yes, and that's why I say the right girlfriends. Because the right girlfriend will say, and what did you do wrong? Where did you trigger him? Where did you contribute to the fight as well? So now you're full, you're empty, you're bubbling, you're angry after you've met this group of people you've had to share with. Now you're coming home quiet and sulking. But he has no idea all of that happened. Nope. He has no idea you went out and shared fundamentals that should never be shared.
And now you're angry because he cannot see you're angry.
And he's not solving it.
He's not solving, but he does not know.
Absolutely. And you're not giving him a chance to. So the first secret to the basis of a foundation in a relationship is when you take the problem to your spouse, be lenient. And that's what I love to tell women first. They don't know how to solve it like she would. They will not have all the emotion to solve it like she would. But the better the two of you get at solving, sharing, communicating, arguing through it, you're now learning the rules on where do we not go, where do we go, and he's starting to learn that you're coming to me. And a man's immediate need is solving. So a woman sometimes just wants to share and bear it all. So I'll give you an example. Like, I think 2 days ago, I was sharing with my husband something I was dealing with. And I was like, it's so frustrating. And he immediately went into, this is how you could solve it. And I said, I love that. I appreciate that. But right now, I think I just want to take it out. I just want to take the irritation of it away. But you see, had we never been through that, had we not been through, no, this is what I need from you in the moment, because I've stopped talking about what I need from outside. I'll tell you why it's been the biggest gift. In the beginning of our relationship, society and the noise and the voice of them was inside. And that's what happens to so many relationships.
Okay.
Your in-laws are inside, your friends are inside, your siblings are inside. So many people are in your relationship. It's so noisy. And at some point you feel you need to play up to the expectations of everyone else, except what the two of you need.
Yeah.
And the minute we realized we took out the noise, which suddenly meant when everyone else is gone, you are vulnerable to just the two of you.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to also talk about the disciplines of love, different rules to love. Why? Because in a situation like this is when it matters. The first discipline is the discipline of being vulnerable. Vulnerable enough to share with your spouse how you feel all the time. Now, if you've tried to share the first time and they're not understanding or you're not getting the response you want, the first thing to lose is the expectation of how you're coming into that conversation. When you are vulnerable enough, when a woman is vulnerable enough to her man, he will immediately feel the masculine in him arises to say, this is someone I have to protect. This is a solution I have to give immediately. This is somebody that needs a hug. This is someone that needs warmth. You allow your dynamic to play on its own without speaking. So the discipline of vulnerability, why do we say discipline? Because you're not always going to want to do it. And a discipline means you work at it. Rules tend to always be broken, even though they have to be there. But there's some fundamentals to a relationship that if you consistently come to these that I'm talking about, your relationship will find a way back. So, number one, you choose to always be vulnerable, which means if I'm also hurting in the moment, if I'm furious and I'm angry right now, I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to choose to be vulnerable and say how I feel, how it's making me feel, the expectations I have that I understand I should not put on you, and you give your partner a chance to respond the way they want to, the way that they can, in their essence. The other discipline is the discipline of unconditional love. Why is it a discipline again? You do not want to be unconditional when you're having a stressful day, things are going wrong, COVID hits the whole world, your lives are changed upside down, the children are growing up and you don't know what to do. You're not always going to want to be unconditional. But when you choose to make it a discipline with the two of you, which means when life is pulling us apart right now, we both stop, and in the moment, it's not what I expect of you. It's not me turning around to say, you should be unconditional. Unconditional means, how do I come back to this place and give? What else can I do? How do I change my approach and my tone to make things better?
We have one more discipline to go.
Few.
But I just want to throw it to you. Have you shared things that came back to bite you in the behind? Did you share and instantly wished you hadn't? Did you take time to share with your partner? Do they even listen to you when you go to them? How is your relationship when it comes to you sharing things, your complaints, your good, your bad, your ugly, with your circle outside of your relationship or marriage? 111 444 111. That is our SMS line. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Full Circle with Bukali. How are you doing? It is Thursday and Shazmeen Bank is in the building and she's here to straighten our relationships, get us in line. So we're talking about 6 things that you should keep to yourselves as a couple, not share with other people, no matter how close they are. And you mentioned the bedroom, tulianzia bedroom, uko tujiweke. And then you also talked about disciplines that we should work on. It's work, really.
Yes,
and I looked at you talking about unconditional love and I was like, huh?
because you don't want to do it all the time.
Yes.
You're not going to be there all the time.
Yes.
And what makes a relationship go from good to great to extraordinary is putting in that work, is choosing that these are the disciplines we live by. If our relationship is starting to fall apart, where do we come to see where we are off? And the secret is, a lot of the time someone will come into the relationship and say, the rules are breaking because you are not doing. You have stopped giving. This is happening in your life. And what you don't realize in a situation like that is you close off, you move from being unconditional, you move from being open and loving. And the most beautiful thing about feminine energy is the ability to be open. And it's what attracts men. Men love the open nature. It keeps the polarity between the two of you. The minute the two of you are in conflict and you move into masculine and you're triggering a masculine energy, he's going to come right at you, as opposed to when you choose the discipline of vulnerability and allow him the safe harbor to feel he can be vulnerable too. Because there's nothing more beautiful than a man knowing the woman I'm with is a woman I can speak to, talk to, feel safe. She will not, which is the third discipline, use what I say and throw it against me. Use any perceived weakness and throw that against me. And this is why some of the rules, when you don't discuss fundamentals, the fights you've had, the intimacy, your fertility problems, the in-laws, you know, the extended family, that the problems you're going through, financial challenges. When you keep that inside a relationship, when the two of you are fighting or the two of you make up, there's no need to justify to the public or to your circle or reinforce them that you're okay. Because a lot of the times, women will come to another woman completely broken over the problem. The other woman's advice is leave, or, you know, try this, or be harder, or don't give in, or he's taking advantage of you. And now when the two of you have solved it, there's almost an embarrassment to go back out there and say, I'm okay, we are okay. So that's why these things should be your cocoon. You don't share, don't break those rules. But at the same time, you don't throw anything he's going through against him. And I saw this a lot last year, which is when you hold the discipline of intent, means positive intent means you are never the behavior that you act. You never judge a person by the behavior that they give out that could come from a trigger. But you know the spirit of the person you are with, which means if you are shouting, screaming, or doing something that is crazy in the moment, the way I'll stop you, the way I break that pattern would be probably with a little fun or a break, or not to get triggered to get into it. But I never question who you are. I never throw at you and say, you are a loser, you don't have a job, you financially can't provide. You stop comparing what the rest of the world has out there, and you look at how the two of you can make it and you can grow. And it's literally taking away all the noise of everything else that's going on and saying, how do we create our own personal powerful noise within us? And then it's also the discipline of freedom and flooding. Freedom means I give you so a lot of men crave freedom, but freedom in the right way. So I know there are a lot of women out there saying, yeah, but you don't understand. Freedom for my man is running to the bar or doing things where it ignores me. But it's freedom to be able to say, I trust you, I love you. Freedom to say, I'm not holding you in the wrong way. Freedom where I'm not going to have a list and a stack held against you consistently all the time, bringing you down, forcing you on why you should be with me. It's freedom to forgive, freedom to move forward, freedom to allow the two of you to have a vision that brings you two together. And that is something men crave. They crave the freedom to make mistakes, the freedom to get into business and know that I have your support, and if it did not work, it's okay. You're not going to throw it in my face. We both understand if this doesn't work, we both go down together and we come back up together. So you're not using each other's skills and technicalities against each other, but flooding And this is something couples have just forgotten to do. When you flood with love, and you flood with memories, and you flood with appreciation.
Okay.
Now, here's the secret. If you're in a rut right now in your relationship, here's the first question. What have you done to get the two of you there as well? What have you stopped doing that has brought the two of you there? How have you consistently blamed them for what they are not doing, which takes your power away to solve the problem and bring the two of you where you are? Because a lot of people will sit in a relationship and say, until they solve it, until they change, my life is at a standstill. Now, here's the thin line between it. And this is why in so many different conversations I say, choosing your partner is 95% of who and how you will live the rest of your life.
That's true.
Because this partner is somebody that brings you joy. You both will go through the sorrows together, but you've got to be conscious about the person you choose, conscious about the chemistry and conscious about the connection. The chemistry and the lust, you'll experience the connection and how it can consistently grow.
Okay.
A lot of people choose the lust that's immediately formed and you think you can just build upon that. It's never going to work. So you want to be able to consistently say, I choose you. The fifth discipline is you are always number one. No matter what is going on in my life, if in the moment I know you are not okay, my world, my work, everything stops to be able to say, how can I serve you? What can I do? How can I elevate the mood? Do you just need a hug? But you come first. In order to keep everything and all the rules in your relationship strong, you've got to be able to say, I choose you. When you don't choose me, I feel the need to go and get it solved outside. It's different when you're talking to a therapist, you're talking to a coach, or you're talking to a counselor, and you're looking to find a solution, which is very different to I'm looking outside the relationship to talk, and I get to vent and justify to myself why they are wrong. You need to also consistently sit and say, where am I wrong? How did I bring us here? Because I even know generally when we deal with so many questions, it's how do we fix them? And that's the first thing I'll do in coaching. When people will come in, it's let me tell you everything this person has done to ruin my life. And it's at their fingertips. They've forgotten to flood. They've forgotten to appreciate. Something I tell people, practice even if you're not on a verbal, affectionate, intimate place right now in your relationship. List 3 things right now in this moment you can appreciate about them. If it's they work so hard and it's annoying you because they have no time for you, where can you appreciate that? In them working hard, has that allow you to do? Where does that allow you to blossom? What else annoys you? They have their boys and it annoys you that they go out right now. How can you reframe that? That in them going out,
difficult.
Very difficult. And in them going out with the boys, has it given me a little self-time to be able to think about what I'd like? Has it taught me some skills that I can learn to communicate with him better when he comes home? How else can I be versus how I react to be? Because remember, we're also covering healthier relationships that are out there. Not always the abusive, wrong relationships, which I know everyone and a lot of people deal with. But then the question also comes with at some point, why are you in them? You've got to be in the relationships as well you can work on and can grow, that are not hitting a standstill. And if it is hitting a standstill, then different decisions need to be made. If you've come back to the drawing board and saying, where have I taken away love? Where have I broken the rules? How did I withdraw from the relationship? Who did I talk to and bring into our relationship that didn't need to be there? So when you first take all the responsibility back and you sit at ground level, it's now no longer about us fighting against each other, but it's now about how we both can win back the love. How do we both create it again? How do we respect the rules, the beautiful boundaries, the disciplines? How do we understand that if we're going off, we come back to the drawing board? What are we missing in our lives? What have we stopped practicing? Where are we blaming? And if I'm going to blame, I will blame you effectively. I will not blame you so that I come out on top and I'm the victim at the same time. I will blame you so that I also win and I learn from what's going on. Change your tone, change your approach, change the way you come into the situation. And sometimes some of that conflict will also go away and go down.
What? Shaz.
And that's why it is work.
It is work.
It is work, because you've got to be able to realize sometimes when someone's coming at you,
Yeah.
it's not always about you. It could be, what are they going through? What happened to them outside there? I'm going to now get into conflict or a fight because I'm going to be the reaction. I'm going to go into deflection. I'm going to go into proving how I am better, how I'm not what you're saying. What if in that moment somebody was frustrated and angry and you sat and you listened? What if that was a different approach? What if you turn around and you told your spouse, the person you love the most, I get your anger and I'm so upset. This is the way you feel. How can we get through this together? Your boss talked to you this way. I understand why you're walking around the house this way. I understand why you're angry. I'm really sorry that happened to you. If it's happening to you, it's happening to us.
Yes.
You're suddenly going to have a partner that wants to involve you in how they feel versus feeling it's me and the world against the person I'm supposed to love and spend the rest of my life with.
And I think we see how sometimes you wake up in the morning and you don't want to go to work, but then you think about the bills and you go work. It's the same thing. Sometimes in the relationship, you really are tired. You really do not want to make this work. I don't want to show up for you, but then you have to do it.
You show up. And when you show up and you hold your standards high to yourself, your partner will either hold their standards high or you both will realize the chemistry and the connection is different. But I tell anyone who's in a situation right now that feels it's completely over, what is it you can do to reignite the relationship without waiting for them to do it? Because so much has happened between the two of you that you've withdrawn and you've both felt we can never get there. How do you come back to the fundamentals? My husband and I have something. It would be beautiful for people to use because it worked for us in the beginning tremendously. We called it the 3-day truce, which meant we understood both of us are changing, both of us are withdrawing, both of us are taking away love. It's hurting the two of us because there's no one's love you crave the most. It's the meanest place you can be. And we would come and say, we're calling a 3-day truce, which means we're not going to solve the problem. We're not going to discuss the problem. We're coming back to our core. 3-day truce means come back to vulnerability, come back to love. We're coming back to unconditional. We're coming back to filling up. Right now, we understood the jar is empty. If we continue at this pace, it's going nowhere.
That's true.
So we go back to fundamentals, which means we shake on it, we hug on it, we kiss, and now it's over. We're not discussing that anymore. We're rebuilding each other's ammunition. And after 3 days of literally filling, we both come back to the problem. We either discuss it as a joke, we either discuss it with a little fun, or in a new sensitive way, where both of us are not charged. You've taken the charge away.
Even the way you look at the problem at that point is totally different.
Yes.
You just feel like, what was that? Was I serious?
Yes.
Were you serious?
Yes.
What are you dealing with? Have you taken notes? What are some of the 3 things that you look at your partner or you think about them right now and you're like, I appreciate them for this? It might be ugly, probably the first outlook of it is not beautiful. But then what have you learned from that situation? What has it taught you? What is the good, the positive that you can pick out from that? 111-444-111. Send in all of the questions because Jasmine Bank will be answering them after this break. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mukali. How are you doing? It's Thursday morning. Jasmine Bank is in the building and she is doing her best to take us back to the center, to remind us why we got into these relationships in the very first place, why we got married in the first place, and where we're losing it and how we should get back to it. And thank you for taking us through all of that. I have a couple of questions for you. Uko tayari?
Kabisa.
You're not going to go with Dio?
Dio.
Hi, Mix. Nakupenda sana. Nakupenda pia. Thank you so much. I'm Esther from Nakuru. How should a couple solve their differences when you get angry about petty things without hurting each other? How should you even begin talking to a man who doesn't even listen?
I love that, because I challenge it and say, is it true that he really doesn't listen?
Okay.
Is it that he's not listening because the tone you're coming at with him just makes him switch off, just makes him feel this is going to be a fight? How could you change the approach to be able to get him to listen? Could you guys go out for coffee? Could it be your thing that when we need to discuss something difficult, we no longer do it in the house?
Yes.
We do it when we go out for a coffee in a public place, because then we'll both be honorable to our tone and our voice. Secondly, if you had a colleague, a mother, a best friend, a sister that was not listening, how would you approach them? Because a lot of the times with softness, sensitivity, and time for everyone else except the person we're with. Why? Because he should know how to listen to you. How could you talk and approach him so that he could want to listen and be there for you? Why has he switched off? Because my assumption would be, when you got married to him, was he someone that wasn't listening and you still chose to marry him that way anyway? Which means you took him in that way.
Yes.
How did you approach it in the beginning? Go back to the first 3 months of when you were dating, recreate all the scenarios again on how you handled the tough things, how you let go of the things that did not matter for the greater good of the relationship, getting through the first year.
Yeah.
And you find the secret in how to solve things again. Avoiding conflict, most of the time I tell people, which is so hard, bring in humor. Find a way to take that charge away, because remember, you are upset about your needs not being met, about your expectations not being hit. But what are the needs? What need are you trying to meet in the moment? If you're trying to meet love and connection, instead of having the fight about it, what if you just said what you really want to say?
Okay.
Which is, I'm feeling low, I need your love, I want your attention. Instead of, you're never in the house, you don't love me, you're not here, you're always with the boys. I just need more of you time. And you just go right back to basics on communication.
Okay.
I promise you, any couple that tries it right now, it makes the biggest difference. When you break down a fight is the surface level. The request is below the fight.
Yes.
What are you requesting for? And instead of fighting about it, going into conflict and expecting them to know your request, it's your request. Ask it. Change the relationship. Move into gray from black and white.
Okay. Okay. Go deeper.
Yes.
What are the boundaries when it comes to me sharing with my man? Like, how should I know what to share with my girlfriend and what isn't necessary to tell him? So there's the sharing of what is happening in my relationship to the outside world, and now what is happening on the outside world, sharing with him.
Okay, I'll give you a different perspective. Mo and I look at it.
Okay.
Mo and I look at it, if we are going to gossip about the person,
Yes.
we don't go there.
Okay.
If we're going to discuss how the two of us feel about a particular situation, go right in.
Okay.
When you talk to your spouse, I don't feel they should be things you never not share with your spouse. This is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. You want them to know you.
Yes.
The only way for them to know you is when you open up and you talk to them. In terms of sharing with your girlfriends, stop letting them into your bedroom. Okay. Stop letting them on your dining table. Stop letting them into your bank accounts. Keep them out of the most personal things the two of you need, because you don't know sometimes what are their intentions, what are their thoughts. You'd be shocked sometimes when you share a problem with somebody else who assumed you had an amazing life and they turn around and say, thank God. You don't have it, I don't have it, and I'm happy. So you want people that always wish well for you. But there's a limit you don't share with your girlfriends, and there's everything, why not, that you should be able to share with him. talk to him about, teach him how he can converse. Because men are adaptable. They'd love to learn. They'd love to be there for you. But sometimes we don't give them a chance to do that. But vulnerably allow them to be there for you.
Okay. So I hope you took that down. Someone here starts with "hold it" with a couple of exclamation marks. Many. Okay. So let's assume
Yes.
he is terrible. Terrible. And you decide to find some plan B. And he finds out and exposes you to everyone as a cheat. But clearly, you saved him the big embarrassment. Supposing you discuss with him about the matters, his terrible situation, to find solution, and he feels intimidated, and he feels like you are seeing someone else.
He feels like, so
He
you're
feels
not.
like you are seeing, so he's not saying you are. So he feels like you are seeing someone else. If you're discussing about him and his bogus situation, why are you like this? I advise talking to a specialist. My thoughts though, could date Nikazi full time.
So, if someone's being terrible,
Yes.
and you go and be terrible back, you don't have a right to tell them what they did wrong anymore. You
Two
did-
wrongs.
You did exactly the same thing. And that is the epitome of manipulation. You want to play games like this in a relationship, you don't have one. You have a transaction. And a transaction is not going to last.
Yes.
So, no matter whether you talk to a therapist or a counselor, you talk to a coach will call you out.
Yeah.
They will tell you immediately where you are wrong, and they will tell you to stop it. And if you were in my coaching session with so much love, I would have told you, stop using that to manipulate him to do what you want. If he is in a terrible situation, if he is doing bogus things, you are tolerating it by doing it back. You have a choice to either verbalize, tell him how you feel, give him an ultimatum, go back to telling him either we have a chance to make this work now or we don't, because infidelity is a hard thing to come back from. There should be some fundamental rules we have in our relationship, and one of them is no one has an affair, nobody cheats, and nobody's one up on the other. Whenever that's happening in a relationship, how do we both come back to the same level? Because we love each other. That's supposed to be the point. So a situation like this, I'd say, if you're doing that back to him, you've not corrected the situation. If he thinks that's what you've done, I would own it. And I'd say, this is what I've done, and I'm no better a person to be able to now judge you. Maybe I can understand now how you feel too, because I've gone out and done it as well. The whole tit for tat, it's not going to make you win. This, what you have done, and you feel you're going to build a relationship on this, is the most rocky ground. You need to break and flatten that by going back to the basics on who the two of you need to let go of in your external relationships, and are you both willing to come back together and do the work to start healing and having a relationship, not a transaction.
She mentions that suppose you discuss with him about the matter, his terrible situation, and you're trying to find a solution, and he feels intimidated. And he feels the reason that you are...
He's feeling intimidated. I'm already going to tell you your approach is wrong. You're making a man feel intimidated by throwing the problem right back at him. You've got leverage, honey. But you use the leverage the right way. You're going to use the leverage to have intimidation over him for how long? The minute his masculinity is gone and you have a feminine man, you're going to be so unattracted to that energy. You're going to get so bored of dominating it. You're going to lose who you are, the beautiful essence of the person you are. Either you both have a decision to come back, stop. 90 days you commit to the 5 disciplines of love, starting all over again. And in 90 days, if the two of you feel, our love has grown, brilliant. If the two of you feel it cannot work,
Yes.
you've both got your answer.
Okay. Good morning, Shazmeen and Wikali. Quick question. I have gone to the university and spent 4 years there. My husband tells me to give up my career and will provide for me. I did that. And now he looks down upon me. Please help.
Okay, so the topic I actually wanted to tackle for next week was financial abuse
Okay.
and narcissism in finance.
Okay.
Because this is a situation that happens too much. It's probably the biggest DM question I have, which is I left everything because in the beginning I'm financially love bombed. Everything is promised to me. That's why I feel safe enough to let go of a career or not begin one.
Yeah.
And then somewhere down the line, the financial abuse, which people don't realize is a thing,
It is a thing.
is happening. And now they withdraw their love. All the things they did to make it easy for you at that time
Yeah.
has gone away. So where you start again is realizing when people say, I cannot start again, where do I start? I first turn around and say, you are an asset. So that's the first asset you have. You got a brain, you got a heart that's beating, you got limbs that's moving, and you can think and you can make things happen. So you go back to the degree you had and you get a job and you start earning for yourself again, so that no one in the wrong relationship can financially hold you down.
Yes.
You can stand on your own 2 feet as well.
Okay. Hi, Shazmeen and Wikali. I'm getting nourished a lot.
Yay!
I'm Miles, and I have I am Miles. I have my boyfriend who I literally feel the emotional connection more every time. Hey, Kizungu hapa imeleta Kizungu mkuti. I bring it up, he tells me to change. Please just write that again. I don't see.
Inafana kuja.
Kuna imekataa. My fiance thinks thinks listening to Shazmeen, another therapist, is like being dependent on what they say, and that I should steer my life in their direction with their advice. What should I do? Not straightforward, but you get the hint.
Yes, it's a negative thing.
Yeah, where if they listen to you and listen to other therapists, it's like they stop being
Submissive to him.
They
Stop being
it's
what
like
he
they're
can control. They stop being
That's the
and listening to
translation.
exactly
Yes,
what he will
yes,
say,
yes.
because God forbid you
Yes.
start to grow, you
Yes.
have a mind, you got answers, and you bring it back to this relationship. There's no room for the two of us. It's what I say goes.
Yes.
Who's anybody else?
Yeah.
You need to be aware of the person that you're in that relationship with immediately,
Yes.
because this is somebody that will clearly alienate you from anything or anyone's advice that can raise you in a different way. We're all students to life. The minute you stop growing, you die. But growing together means outside things come in. I learned something, let's do this. You learned something, let's do this. Which means you must have a tremendously amazing relationship if he feels he doesn't need advice from outside. Are you super happy? Does he keep you on a pedestal? Does he give you full attention? Are you his priority? Does he give you unconditional love? Are you his number one every single time? If it's a no to anything I just said, then you take this video back to him and you educate him on the need that I'm not going to be in a relationship where it's what you say, because he's going to drown your voice out if you're already questioning. And the biggest thing a woman can lose is her ability to speak and have a voice in a relationship. That's a red flag, honey.
Yes.
Don't make it green. You speak and you use your voice and you don't stop external growth ever. I'm always learning. Always. It's never a full stop for me. And the day my husband would try to stop that and tell me, enough, I can teach you, you don't need to go outside, there's a problem, because there's a cage somebody wants to put around you, and soon enough you'll forget you got wings to fly.
When you say the red flag, don't turn it green, I was like, it's a red flag, honey, not this Christmas tree. Okay, cool. Arnold from Nairobi says, this is so important. I would love to know if it's okay to get back to my ex if she has decided to mend her ways, and I believe her.
Yes, absolutely. And there's steps to getting back together also, Arnold, because you both need to understand what were the mistakes we made. How do we not come there? If we come back to that space again, what is our safety? What is our call sign? How do we make sure the two of us don't repeat the pattern? Because it's very easy to come back into that. You both have to know how to break it. Come back with new rules, no expectation, full appreciation for who the person is. Fill them in a way that's beautiful, and that relationship can flood. I've done it with my husband. I'm all for people coming back, but you come back the right way, not with the same mistakes.
Okay. We have about 2 minutes to go, Shazmin. Last one? Yeah. Great. Hi, my husband doesn't want responsibility of our baby. He has never provided for the baby since she was born. She's now 4 months, and I take care of her alone, yet we live in the same house. He always says he doesn't have money, yet he's working. What do I do?
Well, you have a choice to call him out in a very tough way. You can pull extended family in, because I know for men like that, bringing somebody external in will sort of make them feel they're losing their power or embarrass them. I would first say somebody, either your pastor, somebody he truly respects, his best friend that will be able to call him out, should come home and say, this is wrong. This is your child. This is your responsibility. And this is where I would tell you, have that voice. Turn around and say, if you cannot provide for a child that is gifted to you by God, then where is this relationship going? How is it put on you? How is that an expectation for you to fulfill? Because a man's inert nature is, I want to provide. And sometimes in their love to provide, they lose the essence of the other little things women look for and want. But that's their greatest gift they can give you. If he's going to withhold that love so that you stay caged in that relationship, he needs to understand that even if you might not have a way of solving it immediately, you are thinking it, you are voicing it. So he has to know this woman found her voice and she's going to speak, and you speak how you feel and you say it. But don't tolerate this situation. You've done it for 4 months. You will end up writing in and saying it's a year, it's 2 years, and at some point you get fed up enough to go get a job and make things work. But I would tell you right now, because you're probably home and there's so many situations that won't allow that immediately, get someone in the situation and call him out big time.
Great. Parting shot, Shazmin.
This is my parting shot. To anyone out there in a relationship feeling, it's hard, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do anymore, it feels like it's over, go back to who you really were in the beginning. Go back to the love you can give. Stop taking love away. Don't manipulate situations. Are some fights worth arguing about? Appreciate them privately in your mind so that you can appreciate them when you also see them and feel them. And remember, love is possible, it's work, and it's meant for you.
Yay.
And you can find me on Instagram. At Shazmin Bank, Twitter Bank Shazmin, website www.shazminbank.com.
Thank you so much for coming to Shazmin.
You're welcome.
Today you were fired up. We're taking a very short commercial break. We will be right back. This is Full Circle with Mukali.